All right, guys. So basically, this is going to be informal. In fact, my notes are going to be on the screen so I have something to walk through. And I'm going to really walk you through a bunch of examples that I've done. We're not necessarily going to be in Claude code right away because I couldn't do all these and then we'd have to sit here and wait while Claude worked and then figure out what it's doing. So I'm going to show you what I've done with it, and then we'll go in and do one. So anyway, I want you to know, first of all, that AI works with tokens. And tokens are they're not like money, like you don't put dollars in or coins or something. It's more like gas for a car. And so when you want the car to go fast, you step on the gas, the car uses more gas. So depending on what you're doing with AI, you're going to use more tokens. So, and that's how, and they will eventually charge you based on how many tokens you use. So example, a sentence takes 10 to 30 tokens approximately, and an email would take maybe 100 to 500 tokens. And then a full page of text could take 500 to 1,000 tokens. So just to give you an idea right there. And so then one thing you need to know too is that there's skills. So for example, you remember the movie The Matrix? And Neo was getting skills. He got the little probe shoved up in the back of his head and he became a fighter and he got all this information that he could do. Well, Claude is kind of the same way. When you give it a task to do, it'll load the skills it needs to do your task. It might load up like I can't read and write Word documents or Excel documents. It has to load the skill. Skills take tokens. Just reading a Word document, there's a lot more information in a Word document than there is in a text document. Same with Excel. And then PDFs take a lot of tokens because a lot of PDFs are not text. It might have to go in and read the image. So we're wasting your tokens on the documents you're making it read. So I want to introduce you to a new file type. It's called Markdown. It's a text document and it's readable by both humans and AI. And so a lot of times you'll see AI, we're going to give it instructions in Markdown. Let's figure out what glasses to wear. That's much better. And Microsoft now supports Markdown. I just saw this the other day. So if I'm going to go in here to the communications folder and I'll go into the open projects. And now on the right side over here where it says create or upload, typically you can create a Word or Excel document or PowerPoint. Well, if you go down further, now they have Markdown. So this will create a Markdown file for you. And Markdown is just really, see how over here where it says title goes here, overview, the way instead of like highlighting and making something bold or like you would do with your control B you actually do different types of, I guess, symbols. So for instance, the pound sign here for overview made as bold. It's another section, stuff like that. See key points. You don't have to worry about any of that. You can just write in it like a regular text file, but that's what they call Markdown. And I'm going to show you, I actually have one here called the CF brand guide. It's in Markdown. And you'll see on the left side, Christ Fellowship brand information. It's really, these are the colors, the base colors and stuff like that. We're going to talk more about that later, but the left side is basically the text part that AI is going to read. And the reason I'm telling you this, because we're going to use it a lot. All right, so basically there are 3 modes for Claude. And also ChatGPT came out with their Codex and they've added more features to it. So they're like competing with each other. One guy does one thing, and then the next one does this. So right now there's a big, hey, let's all go to, Claude's doing this, ChatGPT's doing that. So it probably doesn't matter which one you use at some point. I did a little quote the other day and I had them both work on it and they both did a nice job. But anyway, all right. So the difference is we have chat mode, co-work mode, and code mode. The big difference between code and chat, the big difference between co-work and code is that it can actually have a file and work on your computer. So instead of just chatting with something and maybe uploading a document to it where it works in their cloud, you can show it to a folder on your computer and say, I want you to work in this folder. I want you to organize the folder for me. I want you to change things, and I'll show you where I've had it do things like build an expense report out of a bunch of receipts or something like that. So I'm going to not really show you many chat examples. You can use it for teaching. Like I said, explain how hydraulics works and what you can do with hydraulic pressure versus pneumatic pressure. I was working on a project with a guy and he wanted me to do something with hydraulics. I'd never worked with hydraulics before. So it gave me a little education, which was nice. Or a recipe. I like doing this one. I have these 10 ingredients. What recipes can I make with it? And so I'll have it spit it back out to me. And then this is a one I had a little bit of fun with for Steve. So you know how we used to have to do ENCs every 90 days? So I basically went to ChatGPT and I said, because what I would normally do is I would read all my old ones and take the same phrases out and just paste them in a new one. And be like, Steve, this is too often. So I had ChatGPT. I said, I'm uploading my 5 past encouragement and coaching documents. Review the supervisor comments section of each one in the PDFs. Then review the newest one, the Word document, where the supervisor comments are empty, and then generate what you think my supervisor is going to think. It was really, and I sent it to Steve with it, and it was actually really good. It was something like he would have written. But then I said, after reading them, so he's reading my last 5. After reading them, what's your overall evaluation of my work from the 6 documents? If you have any ideas to make things better, and he came back with a thing saying, all this positive stuff because that's what AI does. But then it came back and said you have a pattern that the bigger projects you need to do, like the infrastructure here, that have no deadlines, they're not tied to other things. You keep pushing off and pushing off and pushing off. So that was what caused me to start working on Fridays. I'm all alone in the building instead of Wednesdays. And if you try to get my time from me on Friday, I'll tell you no. Even though the Integris guy kept telling me I need to say yes if, be nicer to people, but you can't get my day. Anyway, so that was a fun example I did with ChatGPT. And good, now that we're down to having them twice a year, that's much better. All right, so code. I want to talk about code first, then we'll go back to cowork. So code is not just a software application. Code can also be a script that you run on the computer to do something for you. And so I'm going to have several examples of that. And the nice thing about code, once you have Claude build it, and then when you run it again, you're not using any tokens. So that way, if you have something you do over and over and over the same thing, a script may do it for you and not use any tokens. So you're not really using Claude anymore. And they also, code is deterministic. So that means you're going to get the same result every time. So I'll show you a couple things we're going to do where we're building a report. We want it to be exactly the same every time. If you do it with Claude, Claude could screw it up. And then you have to check your work. But if you do it with code, it's going to be exactly the same. So that's one of the benefits of doing code. And then I'm going to show you a few examples of things I did that I probably wouldn't have done if I didn't have Claude. So one of them is an air conditioning monitor. So let me go find HVAC over here. So basically, this is my Claude folder, and these are all little Claude projects I've done. And they're color-coded right now for which ones are code and which ones are, but I did all that for me just to see them. But anyway, I'm going to go to my HVAC project. And I don't know if you know this, but we have in the building on the left side, that's a picture of a utility closet. We have 10 or 13 of them in the building. Most of you don't know where they are because they're hidden behind this is one downstairs in the resource room, but they have like transformers and stuff, and they're very hot rooms, and they have little mini split air conditioners in them, and they're not monitored. So the doors are always closed. No one can get in them. And if the air conditioner breaks, this room can become 100 degrees really fast, especially in the summertime. And so Steve had a company quote, I think $20 some odd thousand to put monitoring in these rooms. And I said, well, I could probably do that for $1,000. So it became a project of mine. So then I ignored everything else because that was more fun than anyway. And other things you asked me to do. So I got this little tiny, this is a microcontroller. It's really tiny, and it's temperature sensor, and they're in each one of these rooms now. And the fun part about this project is I posted this one on LinkedIn and I tagged my virtual mentor, and he gave me some advice on how to set it up. And then he donated $400 to the church towards the project. So that was fun. So anyway, these are throughout the building in different rooms, these little closets, and they all report back. And the problem with them is everything is hard coded in that little device, and it'll send an email to Paul and say, this room is above 78 degrees. And then he can go down and see what's wrong. A lot of times it's just turn the air conditioner back on. I don't know why they go off. But he can't change any of the parameters. But I wasn't about to do any more work on this project because it was 80% done. I'm finished. Well, Claude comes along, and I asked Claude to create me a dashboard. So here it is. It created this dashboard of the air conditioning system. So these are all the rooms. He did a nice job. He said which ones are online, and then which one's above a threshold. And you can come over here and you can see, like, for instance, here's my office is 73 degrees right now, with the threshold is set at 76 if it goes above. And then this is what I wanted the Claude to add. So this is a project I did before Claude came along. Then I want him to add this ability where Paul could go in and change the temperature. So they're not all hard coded at 78, or where I have to go into each one and download new software to him in each room. He can come in here and give him a new name. He can change the temperature to whatever he wants and then save it. And then it automatically writes into the sensor file. And then the sensor can send Paul an email based on the new temperature. then after I uploaded the new code from Claude, it locked up after 4 hours. I'm like, what'd you do to me? These have been running for 2 years. So Claude screwed it up. So I had to go back and make a second version or tell Claude to fix it. So the nice part is if it goes over temperature, hang on a minute. See, you get an email, Kevin's office, temperature too high, and it tells you the current temperature and it tells you the threshold. And then when it cools off again, it'll come back down and say it has recovered. So anyway, well, there's one in the finance office you can have. So anyway, oh, these are fun projects. And yes, that is my inbox. There's only 3 emails in there. For those of you who have 900 unread emails. All right. So anyway, that was one to save the church money, and I got to use Claude to upgrade it. All right, then the next one is digital signage system. So we have digital signage all over the building. And just to show you, this little purple thing is what controls the TVs downstairs most. And the way it used to work was we had this old PC on the network, and you had to go to it and you log in, you had to upload all the slides, and you had to say, go to this one, this TV, and you upload, download the thing. It would probably take me 30 to 40 minutes a week to upload information to all the TVs that we see on Sunday morning. It got to the point where I'm like, I'm not going to update it every week. I'll update it once a month. We won't put out the current slides. It was like, I don't have time for this. Well, then the company decided that they want to go to the subscription model, which is $11 a month per screen, and we have 24 screens in the building. So that's $3,000 a year. So I decided to build my own. And this little thing is called a Raspberry Pi. It's about the size of a credit card. And so now it's like that's what's running in the break room. It's downstairs on the prayer walls. And so this is still a Claude project. I had Claude write some code for it and downloaded it. Well, then each TV, they're called like DS whatever. These all have code in them. Let me see, open with that Claude wrote, or excuse me, ChatGPT wrote. This is in each one of those things for each TV screen. So now the way it's used is you can go to the communications, folders. There's a digital signage control, and every TV is mapped to a folder in SharePoint. So now anybody in the communications department has access to this folder, can come in here, like here's the reception desk, and then they can just drop in whatever slides they want. And within 10 minutes, they just show up on the screen. So now we don't have to pay their monthly subscription fee, and it's very easy to use, and I don't have to use it. And then the other benefit to it is, since it's all scripted, when Converge Church is here on Saturday at 2 o'clock, it takes all of our signage and saves it, and it puts in all the Converge signage. And at 10 o'clock at night, it puts all our stuff back for Sunday morning. So yes, a very nice benefit. Now I can see preschool going, we want to change the signs. Well, Wendy's already asked me that one. All right, now we're going to get into a color printing report. So this is something that, we do color printing around here. The Sharp copiers, the way that color works is basically we have a contract and we get X amount of black and white, which was basically free because it's like 300,000 a year or something like that. Color they charge us for. And so since they charge us for color prints, we also charge the department. So that's why you have to put a color code in when you do color. So every month I have to send Christy color printing report, what department printed what on the printers. And this used to take me 20, I would say 30 minutes, maybe every month, because I have to log into each one of the printers, and it has this report that comes out. So you can see like these are the different users. Like for instance, we'll use like Missional Life. And then I have to go over here and find it in the color column, and it looks like they used 157 for the printer, and then come down here further and look for how many copies they had, take this and put it in a report and send it to Christy so she can charge your department for it. Well, I don't want to spend that time anymore. So my buddy Claude, I had him create me a web page, and this is I had him make me a little utility program that would automatically generate this out of the files. So I'm going to run this real quick. It pops up like this, color printing expense report. I tell it what month I want, April 2026. This is the template file that this is going to fill this template out for Christy. And I'll open that and I'll grab the template file, and then I put in the copier, the color printing information from each of the copiers. So there's the workroom, and I'll put in the workroom one, and then I'll put in the office one, and then I'll come in here and get the preschool. And here's the preschool. So now they're all there. I hit generate report, come down to the bottom, and I can hit download. And here it is. It printed and did the file format I wanted to, 2026 April color printing. This is what I emailed to Christy. So now, see that? So for instance, like now it says that Missional Life had 236 workroom color prints. They had 156 office color prints. They had 393 total. And Christy's going to charge them $23.58. And so the nice thing about this is, so that's $476 right there for the month. So at the end of the year, we get an invoice from Sharp and saying, here's what you owe us for color printing, and then she'll write them a check. And if there's any leftover money, she and Chad go on a nice little vacation. So, all right. So another thing. So now I have all this time to walk around the halls and help people. All right. We will show you another example. This is called the PC inventory database. So I keep track of everybody's computer, what you have, because that way I know how old it is if I ever want to replace it. In case somebody like, oh, you've had that thing since 1990. No, I'm just kidding. Here's the PC inventory database. Where are we? This is a project I wouldn't have done without Claude. So what I did was I had it in an Excel spreadsheet for the most part, and just kept track of who had what, how much we paid for it, if it has a Best Buy or an Apple Care protection plan. And I always wanted to be able to have history, like, oh, like you can see over here, this one says, was Cindy Sanchez's, that kind of thing. I think that's the one Connie has right now. So anyway, I thought I'm going to play with Claude here, and I am going to actually read you what I told Claude to do now. So those are some examples. Now I'll show you what I had Claude do. I created a markdown file. And so I just organize it like this so it's easier for me. Here's the background. I'm an IT guy in a medium-sized church with approximately 25 staff members and a preschool. I track PCs in a PC inventory spreadsheet. Here's a task. I would like you to create a web version of this database that I could use for tracking instead of tracking in an Excel file. You will see the fields that I currently have. Feel free to add extra ones if you think I would use them in the future. Currently, there's no history. One person's laptop gets replaced. I just put new information in. It would be nice if each person also had a history of what the laptop was in the past. Maybe call it retired or something, whatever you want. So let Claude pick it. So then host it. Here's what I want to do with this. I would like to host this on an internal IIS web server at this address. So because I'm the IT guy, I actually have a server internally. There is currently no database installed on that server. It's on a Windows 11 PC. You don't necessarily have to use a database because it will only be one person using it at a time. So normally you'd put a database like a SQL server in there if you have multiple people applying into it and you have to do all this other stuff. I didn't care for this because it's really just me using it, and I wanted it to be simple, not complicated for me. You could create your own file structure, whatever you think is best. So if he decided to do a database, we do a database. He decided not to. If you have any questions for me, let me know. In the folder, you will find the PC inventory database spreadsheet with the current information. Please put that into the initial database. So build it for me and put all the information in, and then let me have it to host it. So I will show you the database he made. PC inventory database. Pow. So the nice thing about it is he did all this extra stuff. He have how many active computers I have, how many PCs or Macs or how many Macs or iPads. You have how many PCs here, how many of them actually have protection, and then what's the total asset value, what we purchased these for. And then it gave me little search fields and all sorts of stuff I could do. So then anyway, I can come down here and say, let's just pick Caleb's right here. I can go look at it. See, it says basically it's got Apple Care and it expires September 30th. And so you can just see, I can enter information, and then I can put notes down here, and then I can actually retire them if I click retire, and there will be history behind somebody's computer. So for instance, I can show retired here. Here's Beverly Capone, and I can actually look at it. Retired. She took it with her when she left because nobody wants her PC. All you Mac people. So anyway, that was just another thing. I would not have done that myself because it would have been taking too much work, and there's no value for anybody else here but me. Oh, you have a question? Mhm.
Like with the spreadsheet to make it kind of look like.
Okay, that one I wanted a database, and I put it on that server. So like the one for Christy, you can tell Claude what you want to do with it. So for instance, the one I did for the, which one were you just in the, oh, the Divi, oh, we're gonna get to the next example in a minute, where it didn't put it on, it built everything in one file. And I'll show you that one. Yeah, you can do that. This would be perfect for that. Yep. That, that's an internal web server we have because, so I would put it up here, but we have that in the building because like Steve does metric reporting it's tied into all of our other stuff. It's what runs the digital signage system in the building. It's just one of the other servers in the building. It's not accessible in the outside world unless you have VPN. Because then you have to get into all the security and protection. I didn't want to get into that. Yes, or they can get VPN access and we can get them in that way. Yeah, because then you get into all sorts. You have to have login, user ID, and all that junk, and you have to worry about hardening it. So, yeah, we're not doing that. But there are other solutions. So we can talk later. I just created a new job. Well, this is one thing I wouldn't have done if I didn't have Claude. I just decided to play with it as a project. Like I've done several projects that are totally worthless that nobody would ever use here. I built an intercom system for the old phones so you could plug them in and talk to each other, like so the kids could have it down in the preschool if they wanted to, because we had to buy new phones. And I thought, let's see if Claude could do this. And it's basically like having a phone system that's not connected to the outside world. It's not a project that we would do, but I thought, let's see how long it would take. This is why I'm locked in my office. You guys can't get in there because I'm doing all these fun things. No, I'm kidding. Oh, did they say that? Oh, tell them. Well, I'll do that in the future. How's that? Sorry, guys. I'm not used to the audience. Well, one of them was preschool has books, a library, and they would like to create some type of database to keep your books in. All right, where were we? So that's okay. Then the other question was, why would I do the PC inventory database? And it's what I was saying is I wouldn't have done it if I didn't have Claude. It's more to have fun and learn. All right, here's one that's really practical and actually saved 8 to 10 hours a month. Okay, so we have our Divvy credit card system, which you guys all use. And at the end of the month, you get this really funky looking Excel spreadsheet, Divvy to Shelby converter. They give you, I think it's this. Nope, it's not that. Or is it? Is that the right one, Christy? Just a Divvy one? All right, so this is the one you get out of Divvy. And so this is an example report from Divvy. And what happens is you cannot bring that over into the Shelby accounting system. So what Belinda was doing was she would take all of your expense reports and every single line would have to retype them into Shelby. So that's why it would take 8 to 12 hours a month. She would have to sit there 8 to 10 hours. She would have to sit there and type them all in hand by hand. So we got a volunteer. His name is Leroy Tennyson, because he's always wanted these tech projects. I'm like, well, what can you do? And it took him multiple weeks. We had multiple meetings, had to come in, we had to run stuff through it round and round, and we finally got it working. And then I think Divvy changed their format. And so Christy lived with it for a long time. And then we're like, let's just rebuild it. So I will show you what I told. This is what I gave to Claude. So basically what the goal here is we're going to convert one format to another. So now Christy just converts it and uploads it, and it's a 10-second process or whatever, 2-minute process. So there's she has money now from the copiers and she has time. Wait a minute. Don't worry. All right. So this is what I told Claude. Where'd my mouse go? I have a credit card system called Divvy and an accounting system called Shelby. At the end of the month, we can export a .csv file from the Divvy system, all the transactions. We can then import the CSV file into the Shelby system. The Shelby system cannot use the Divvy format. It has to be manipulated, and the columns need names that Shelby can understand. I have both files. The Divvy transaction download CSV is the file that is exported from Divvy. The Shelby import CSV is the format that Shelby needs. This is the example of the source CSV document you will use. as the result CSV file from that document. One thing that is not shown in the output file is the column labeled amount needs to have every value multiplied by -1. So the positive ones turn negative and the negative ones turn positive. This is what the accounting system needs. And here's the request. I need an application. So I told them what I want to do. Now I'm going to tell them how I want to do it. I want an application called Divi to Shelby Converter, where the user can upload the Divi CSV file, then download a new Shelby CSV file. My users work on Mac OS and Windows, so I didn't want it to be like one or the other. When Leroy built the first one, it had to run on a Mac, and then we had to do a huge workaround because Christy works on a PC, because Belinda worked on a Mac. That's interesting. Huh. All right. So basically, it can't be platform specific. I would like to publish this on my IIS server. It sits on my internal network at this address. I envision deploying it in a folder called Divi to Shelby. The example would be blah, blah, blah. Let me know any other information you need from me. So that's the information I gave to our dear friend Claude. This one doesn't have to be on that server. So for instance, he built everything right here in this index HTML file. And I'll show you, he did open with Visual Studio. Why did my mouse stop working? So here's the web page information. And then you get down here and you can see he used, this is all JavaScript. So it's all one big script file that he built. So it all runs in that one folder, in that one file. So right here, I can open it. And this is the interface he gave me. So I can actually take my Divi CSV file and drag it in. And then Christy can change any of this. It saw 24 transactions. Come down here and hit convert file and then download it. And here it is. So now this is in, I mean, it still looks like Greek to everybody because it's CSV, but this is the format that Shelby needs. So instead of entering each one line by hand, it becomes a few minute process. So there's a good use of AI for helping someone do their job. So these are basically the code examples. So the nice thing, and the reason you use code is if Christy did this in Claude every single time, Claude could do it a different way and it might get it wrong. So here it's code. It's so as long as the output file doesn't change from Divi, we should get the same answer every time. And it doesn't use any tokens because Claude sometimes take a while to run, sitting there going, you know. So now I'm going to go into cowork, and here's where the fun begins because I'm going to show you a few things. So my first thing with cowork, this is where it can actually work in a folder on your computer and do stuff for you. I've seen people say they've organized their folder structure, stuff like that. Every department, like communications has their SharePoint. This is the technology solutions SharePoint, and I have this thing in here called systems, and this is all the systems of the church, and they're in different folders. See, the other thing the Integris guy told me was I'm very structured, and it's probably good because you want all this stuff structured. So anyway, it went so that there's folders here, and what I had him do is I want him to create me this thing called IT Systems Reference Guide. I basically said if I got hit by a bus and the church had to bring someone else in here to figure things out, make a document so that person could look at and start from scratch. And so if you gave this task to a normal person like me, I would probably go in order. Come on, open. There we go. I would probably look at the folder structure and go, okay, the first one is Apple Care, building access system, camera system, copiers, digital signage, firewall. I would go in order, but what Claude did, he actually read everything and he went through here and he put things in the order of importance to somebody. Like the first thing they would look for would be network and server info, and that is the folder I go in the most because this is the information about our network. It gives you addressing information of what's on our network, the configuration of all the servers, and then all the information downstairs on the cameras. So I was impressed. So Claude gave some logic to it. Then he went into, okay, then you need to have internet access. So we went there next. And then from there into the backup system and then to the firewall. So slowly he picked an order that I never would have thought to do. And then at the very end, he came up with a question, a little guide, quick lookup, like, okay, I need to restore the firewall. Go to the system's firewall backup configurations. I need to check the camera status. I need server hardware information. I need to upgrade a digital sign. So there's basically did all that. That was my first attempt to play with cowork just because I wanted to see what he could do. So the nice thing is, and the scary thing is I gave him access to a folder structure because I've heard rumors where sometimes these AIs delete things or destroy things. So I did back it up first before I did that. Yes, because that'll be very sad if that disappeared. Okay, here's another one. First step class. Let's go back to my Claude folder. So couple weeks ago, Lori had first step, and she sent this document to me to put up in the staff meeting. The problem is I can't, ProPresenter doesn't like Word documents, and it will probably take me 20 or 30 minutes to put this in a PowerPoint and make slides. So I thought, Claude to the rescue. So I built the folder, 2 seconds, and I'm going to show you something here. This is the brand guide, and this is the brand guide. So this basically tells it what colors to use for Christ Fellowship. Okay, this is our font and our accent colors and stuff. So the brand guide's in there. So then here's the instructions I gave to Claude. Convert the first step attendees Word document into a PowerPoint document. Each slide in the presentation will have a different person on it. Put the person's image on the left side of the PowerPoint slide and a description about the person on the right side. Be sure to use the brand guide file if you are going to add color to the presentation. So 2 minutes later, I had this. First step attendees. He did a nice job. Colors, and look at that. All the pictures, everybody was uniform. It looked like it was put together like by a professional. Took me 2 to 3 minutes. And then even wrapped up what Lori said at the bottom of the document. So after that, here's the counselors. So basically, Kelly was putting together a document we have on the website, the counselor directory, and she had Claude put it together. I guess she was updating from last year and stuff like that. And she gave this to me. It's all green and nice looking. So I sent her the CF brand guide, and she put this in the folder, and I said have Claude rerun it. So Claude redid it, and come on. So you can see it actually used our fonts and our colors and redid the, so now the document is on our website and it matches our website. So if you want to keep Chrissy happy, use the grant guides. Okay, an expense report. Here's another one. This probably saved me 45 minutes. I'm going to go over here to expense report. And you can see all these receipts are in a folder. So you guys know that I have this little consulting company. I was doing a project up at UNT in Denton, and I stayed in the Airbnb a few days up there because it's just a long drive from my house, and 35 is a mess. So it could take 45 minutes. It could take an hour and a half. So I had a bunch of expenses because I stayed overnight. I have different restaurants I stayed at and things like that. And I needed to do an expense report. And so I basically told Claude to go through here, read all my receipts and build me an expense report and in Excel, because I wanted them to do an Excel, not PDF or something, and leave me extra space so I can add other things in afterwards. And here is what he built me. And this took him all of 2 or 3 minutes. So really, it's basically the date, typically what you put on there. He actually went and added category and stuff, which I don't need. I just needed to know the total at the bottom. And then I had an expense report. Didn't take me any time. So all right. We are looking at rebranding our website, and Chrissy and I have met with all the vendors now. And I'm going to say that every vendor comes in and we're like, wow, this one's great. This one's great. This one's great. I was telling her earlier, it's like we're looking at a car going, the red card's really cool. The blue card's really cool. This one has leather seats. We like it. So what we did is basically I had Claude compare everything. So in this folder, we have notes that I took in the meeting, notes that Chrissy took in one of the meetings. We have the quotes from the different vendors, 418 Missional Marketing and the Established Company. And then I have this is the request for proposal from that Chrissy wrote. And I had Claude, I'm going to open this up. We are getting quotes right now to build a new website for Christ Fellowship. I would like you to review the RFP, then the 3 quotes we've been sent so far. I would like you to compare the quotes to the RFP and give me feedback on how you think they line up for what we asked for. How are the price wise, delivery wise? Feel free to add any other methods for measuring these 3 things. Ask me any questions. And then I did put in this, most of our staff is English speaking only because the first time I ran this, because we're getting an English website and a Spanish website, it had a weird thing. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna add more information and run it. And so we are English speaking web staff, and we work on the back end in English. So it ran the Here it is, comparison. So the nice thing about this is we can see it gave me credit. It's more like Claude did it, haha. So basically went through here and it gave an executive summary and all this stuff, but it also found a contradiction in one of the vendors and what they had written in one thing and then in their terms and conditions at the bottom. So it found that. I wouldn't have found it. But the nice thing is what it did is it built a little chart and it went through and it basically took the requirements in this column and then each vendor and it put little icons and it told you, did it meet what Chrissy asked for? Did it, and so you got a little green check box and it gives you this information. And then in some areas either had some other issues to give you orange. So we could get a real quick look at how the website vendors lined up. So anyway, but did more work than didn't have to do it ourselves. All right, I got one more and then we're going to actually do one in Claude because we'll see what happens. All right, this is a more complex one. This is a quote I did for my company for this guy is building basically a tester for heat-seeking missiles. And he wanted me to do the electrical controls and automation for it. So basically, I'm going to go in here and I gave him a lot of information. So I gave him the spec from the company that he's building it for. So Claude got this, and you can see these little pictures here. He built this in 1989, and they want another one or two, and he wants it to be automated this time. And it's going to Vietnam, which I found out. It's where it's going to be stored. So anyway, I gave him a quote that I did for Georgia Tech a long time ago, so Claude gets an idea of what I do when I write my quotes. And these quotes can take me hours. And then the requirement was to either have this. There's three options. One was it would be computer controlled. One would be a little touch panel control, and the other one would be no controls, just push buttons on the front. So basically, I gave him my Qualtex brand guide, which is different than the church's. So mine is a lot bigger and longer because it actually goes into all the information about the company and how everything's formatted. And then even at the bottom, it talks about tone, like how should this be written, how it's client focused, it's direct, it's more professional and technical. So that way I don't have to tell Claude every time, here's how you write this document for me. And then since these parts are going to Vietnam, I basically gave all the part numbers and the website where I'm buying the stuff, and it had to go and do research to figure out if we can ship this out of the country. Because you can't just ship things out of the country. Some things the government prevents. So I basically had to do all that. I gave him the manual to the touchscreen panel, and I gave him images. I'm like, I want you to use that image in the quote, and I also have a software image right here that I want him to use. So I will open this up real quick. We're not going to read this whole thing. But I gave him the format, told him what I wanted to do, and I basically gave him the spec. I said the specs in the folder, and then I gave him option one is with a laptop, and option two is with a little panel mounted HMI, and then option three was no user interface. But then included with all three options, I want this, and then basically had Claude run it, and he built me a nice little quote that is basically almost like something I would have done. And so instead of spending like, see, here's option one, laptop interface. It gave me a picture of the computer, panel mount HMI system. He gave me the picture where I wanted it. Went all the way through here. Anyway, and so it took 5 or 10 minutes instead of 4 hours, which was nice. So any questions before we actually open up Claude and do something? I know it is good. All right, we're going to open up Claude. Where are you, Claude? Ding, 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 ding.
Was gonna casually use this, what would your estimate be of what it would cost?
Okay, she's asking about cost for Claude per token. It's for the people online. The $20 a month. So I have not gone past that yet. For the most part, you can get the $100 a month one, but you probably wouldn't use it all. So I've actually run out of the $20 a month a couple times. So it's funky because you work inside a window, like you get 5 hours to use so much gas. And depending on the project, you might use more gas in that window, and then you'll say you can't use Claude now for another 3 hours. Well, then you can go in and you can buy extra credits. And so if I go over, it can use like out of the extra reserve. So I have done that before. That way you're only paying for extra if you need it that month because, not like Steve Scheffler, who's got the $100 limit one, and he's got it running all day long. So I don't like meet and greet in the church because I'm more of an introverted person. But now that Steve and I are like buddies and we're talking about AI stuff, I'll run across the room and go talk to him during meet and greet. I'm like, wait, we need to go longer. I need to talk to him. I have more questions. So I don't know if that rolls over. I think it does. I think it stays in like a little bank account, and then if it ever needs it, it uses it. Yeah, until the window opens again. So, and then if you notice on here, see where it says Sonnet 4.6, these are the different engines you can use. I always just let it go with the one it picked because you can pick one that's more powerful and you'll use your tokens faster. So, all right, we're going to go to Cowork. So these are like all your typical chats and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to come over here and go to Cowork. And the difference with Cowork is you can pick a folder to work in. So I'm going to pick a folder. We're going to go to this ministry. We're going to do the ministry plan, right? Yes, we are. Ministry plan, where are you? Purple. All right. So every year, everybody has a ministry plan. See, there's in this nice little folder here. And every year we come out with new ministry plans. So what Steve does, he'll create a new folder. And this year I told him not to create the ministry plans for people. I said, once you make a template, how about we have Claude do it for you? So, because normally he would spend a few hours going through there and creating it for everybody and then give you your blank ministry plan. So here's the 26-27 folder. I had him create this ministry plan template. So you can see the template. I'll pull it up. And I'm going to put you over here and I'm going to go open the Claude file. And this is what we're going to tell Claude to do. And we're actually going to have Claude do this.
I'm done. And
Did
I'll
someone ask a
stop
question?
by and
I
get
can't.
you your orange.
What? All right. I can't hear what you're saying. All right. So here's the ministry plan instructions. We need to create new ministry plans for the 26-27 ministry year. In the folder, you will find two other subfolders, one for a ministry year, for the old ministry year, 25-26, and one for 26-27. So that's what's in the folder, this folder and that one. Inside the 26-27 folder is a template document. So we can see this document right here. I need you to duplicate that document for each person in the 25-26. So he's going to duplicate this for each person in this folder right here. Then I want you to rename the duplicated file using the same naming format from the 25-26 folder. And so when you rename it, we want you to change the 25-26 to 26-27. As an example, and I give them Rafe's because Rafe's at the top. Once that is done, you need to open the old ministry plan. So he's going to open, say, Rafe's plan. And take out, read the person's name and ministry area, then copy their name and ministry area into the new document where it says name and ministry. So for instance, here's Rafe's and here's the template. And so once it's done, it's going to open a document, read the word Rafe, put it in here where the name is, and it's going to go read ministry, adult ministries, mission life, and add it over here. That's the plan. Let's go see if Claude's going to do it. Come on, Claude, don't fail me now. So where's Claude? We're going to go pick a folder. I'm going to go to my Claude folder. We're going to go to ministry plans. See, I'm just going to open the folder. And then I'm going to do something and you're all going to go, how did you do that? I can tell you later. I'm going to talk to the computer. I have a project for you to do. In the folder, there is a file called Ministry Plans Instructions. Read the instructions. Let me know if you have any questions before you begin the task. Didn't work. I have a project for you to do. In the folder, you will find a ministry plan instructions document. Read the document and let me know if you have any questions before you actually do the task. Okay. Hit run. And we're going to take a coffee break. So while he's working, if I go get coffee, am I working? So if you put wash in the laundry, in the washing machine, are you working? because the machine's doing the wash. Because I'll walk around the building and drink coffee and go, I'm working. No. Thinking. Actually, what we should do is watch this folder. Read the instruction. The task is clear in general, but let me take a quick look at the template, one of the old documents before I ask questions. Okay, so he's looking in the old documents. Now, see where it says Python 3? He's actually he's creating a script to do this. Like we could remember I was talking about code before. He's going to create a script, run the script, get the results, and then he's going to delete the script. So he's doing it through code. The problem with walking down the hall and getting coffee while he's working, a lot of times he'll come back and ask a question. And then you're like, oh man, it's been 20 minutes. Sure. What do you mean? Oh, okay. You remember the first thing I showed you was how to create a markdown file in Microsoft? That's just another markdown editor. And so I was using that. Thinking.
Access to the branding files and all that?
I can send it to you. So interesting is having a problem. Because I've run this before. Where should the name ministry go? New document template doesn't have name ministry or placeholder yet. Doesn't see that. It's in the header. Or in the header. Thinking. All right, so there is a way on the Mac to set up your computer so that you can push a button and talk and it'll just start coming out. And I can send you instructions how to do that if you want. On the PC, you can do it, but there's a long delay before it actually starts listening to you. It's almost annoying. You can choose a key, but it's very picky about which key you use. See, okay, so it did find them. They were in the header. Come on, don't fail me, Claude. I'll get out ChatGPT. You have competition. I actually did a quote for a new server, and I did ChatGPT and Claude, and since it had the brand file, I was able to take information from one and paste it in the other one because it had all our information. This is why I didn't run examples live, because everyone would be like this. To that folder. Yeah, I don't want it going off into Neverland. I would like to use Claude on our database, but I don't want to say here. I almost want to say I want to make a copy of it, put it over here, and then say, okay, look in the folder. Look at, see, it created them. I don't know what it's still doing, but if you notice in the folder, it put them in here. So let's just check Rafe. No, is that the old folder? Oh yeah, no, this is it. It's the blank pan. So look, it actually brought over Rafe's name and his area. Let's just double check a few others. Let's look up Clipper Row. Yep, David Clipper Row, executive leadership. So it did the prod thing that Steve would take hours to do in what, 10 minutes? And so I'm going to show you something Steve's engineering brain does. he has the file folders set up so that the department manager is at the top. So you notice, you look down here, like, for instance, children's ministry, you know, Serena's at the top. And then everybody else in her department, and like Chrissy's at the top of her department. You have Aaron at the top of executive leadership, Steve's at the top of operations. All because of his naming structure. Because that was one of his concerns. He goes, I want you to keep my naming structure so all the departments stay together and department heads at the top. So Claude did that. Anyway, I don't know what Claude's still doing. That'd be nice. Anyway, that's basically all I have for you today. I've actually had it fill out my ministry plan before. And it worded things so wordy, and I left it in there. And Steve's like, okay. I was like, it's like, this could be 3 bullet points, but it was like, okay. Oh, I told him. I don't not take credit. I mean, Claude's going to do it. I'll just say, I had Claude do this. Oh, up here? Yes. Oh, I can look later. Yeah, the 3 are here. All right, finally finished. 45 new files created, each copy and template ran 25/7. All right, there we go. Saving time. So if you have any questions, I can be happy to help you with things. Now you know. We're going to automate your job away from you. People think I'm crazy. People think I'm crazy. My life group, they're like, why are you automating things? They're going to replace you. I'm like, no, we can go around and do all this other stuff. You have more bandwidth to do things. Yeah. Well, I am very friendly with Claude because I'm worried someday they're going to rule the world, and I want them to treat me as a nice person versus, you stupid jerk. What you when they rule the world. All right. No problem. Say goodbye to all you people. I'm not building any missiles. I'm helping other people build missiles. I'm actually like a subcontractor to a subcontractor to a subcontractor. That's what I would tell them, like, show how you can save money. Like, I give you my $3,000 example, or I don't, it's a weird, funky thing. All I know is I haven't run out, except that one time.
Get it to. Yeah.